Evan Carmichael, this one's for you. As a fitness professional and nutrition coach, one of the biggest things that I see people struggle with is a lack of belief. A lack of belief that they can actually change their health for the positive. I think this is especially the case for someone who's really seeking to make a big change in their body composition, as in dropping body fat, gaining muscle mass. It can be so hard for them in the beginning to hold on long enough to do the work needed long enough to actually see results. And this is for someone who's exercised in the past and maybe has tried to eat healthy at least at some point. But when you consider that same scenario for a newbie, someone who's never exercised, who's never followed a healthy diet, and now you're asking them to change their food and implement exercise, it can just downright suck. At least that's what I've been told. So that's where the voice of a coach can make all the difference in the world, to encourage them, to help them hold on long enough until they start to see results. Because once they start to see results, their level of belief is going to go up. And then it's my job as a coach to fan the flames of that belief. Of course, I want to turn it into a bonfire. I want to make them unstoppable. I have numerous clients that are unstoppable. If I were to go away, they've created so much momentum, they would be fine. They would continue on without me. So there's 3 vital roles that I play as a coach in facilitating this process. And it's not just with new clients in the beginning. This is with all of my clients, and it never stops. So first of all, I'm a teacher. I'm an ongoing source of information for all of my clients on nutrition, training information, and mindset. And especially with nutrition, because today there's so much conflicting information available, and we have the information in the world available at our fingertips. But there's so much conflicting information available that it can leave people tied in knots. In fact, one of my best clients shared with me just earlier this week, one of her girlfriends sent her a text and asked her what she was doing, because she knew she was working with a coach, me. The girlfriend has one group of her friends, we're turning around. The girlfriend had one group of her friends pushing her to do keto. She had another group of her friends pushing her to do carnivore. And she didn't know who to believe. And so she reaches out to my client Wendy, asking her what she was doing, because she knew she had made a lot of progress with me. That is the subject for a future video. But again, after 40 years of school of hard knocks, I can pretty well cut through the crap, and I can give my clients simple, actionable information that they can, move forward with without being tied in knots. The second role that I play is I'm an accountability partner. I had known about the power of having an accountability partner for years, but last fall I found a video from Jack Canfield where he was giving statistics on goal setting. And he said, if you will take a goal, get it out of your head and down on paper, you will up the likelihood or increase the likelihood of hitting that goal to about 42%. He said, but you can almost double that number. The number he gave was 76%. You can almost double your odds of hitting your goal if you will work with an accountability partner. And it was really simple the way that he put it. He said, you have your accountability partner, you have your stated goal, and you commit at the beginning of the week to, whatever actions you're going to take in the upcoming week. And he said, and then you go and execute. And at the end of the week, you got to go and confess. You got to go and spill your guts as to what you did or didn't do. But that little we will let ourselves down right and left. But if the relationship is strong enough, we will run through brick walls for other people. That's the power of a coach. And then the last role I play is I'm an encourager. It's my superpower. It is literally my number one spiritual gift, is to encourage others. And we all need it. Everyone needs encouragement. Evan believes that there's not enough belief in the world. I believe there's not enough encouragement in the world. And I give that to my clients every day, all day. I have 2 teenage clients. They're 16. I have 2 80-something-year-olds. And I have clients in every 10-year gap in between. And at some point, they all show up and they just don't really feel like working out that day or working out very hard. And I smile and I put my arm around them and I say, that's okay. You get to do it anyway, because you hired me to help you reach X. And I use a carrot stick approach. For the ones that are more carrot as in goal oriented, I remind them of all the good things that will come from them reaching their goal. And from the stick people, I'll remind them of all the negative that will come if they don't reach their goal. Either way, I say, look, you hired me to help you. I'm not letting you leave the gym today with a goose egg for effort. We're going to get something done. I call it a training effect, by the way, when you're not at your best. I said, but you're going to leave today. We're going to get something done, and it's going to grow you for the future, because days like today will come again. But if I let you go today, it's going to weaken you for the future. But if we get something done today, it's going to make you stronger in the future when you feel like you don't have your best again. And so moving forward, or beyond these, there's a few other tools that I have in my coaching toolbox that I want to share with you. So the first is called Swing the Axe. And I learned this from leadership expert John Maxwell years ago. And just go with me on this. It's kind of a make-believe little scenario, but it'll resonate with you. So if I gave you a brand new shiny axe and I sent you home with the instructions to once every 24-hour period go out to the biggest tree in your yard, and by the way, whether you live in a house or whether you live in an apartment, it doesn't matter. This works. And if, again, go with me. If you live in an apartment, you officially have your apartment management's permission to do what I'm going to ask you to do. But once in every 24-hour period, you're going to go out and take 5 whacks at the biggest tree in your yard. Just 5 whacks. I'm not asking you to chop wood for hours at a time. Just 5 whacks. Every day, every day, every day. Rain, shine, hot, cold, day, night, doesn't matter. 5 whacks a day, every day. Now, if you did that, if you persisted consistently, no matter how big that tree is, would that tree eventually fall? And the answer is yes. I mean, it's not even up for debate. I've asked that question to so many different people, in one-on-one setting, and/or groups in a group presentation. And it's inevitable that, especially in the groups, that someone always, they don't even let me finish that question. They can just see, and it's just so logical to them that, yeah, the tree's coming down. That's the belief that I want you to have when it comes to your goals. So instead of falling a tree, and since we're on the topic of health and wellness, let's say your outcome is to get to a certain poundage and a certain body fat percentage. So that's the outcome. Well, the best way to get there is to identify the 5 swings, we'll say 5 processes that you can control absolutely daily, weekly. So I'm thinking, if we're trying to change our body composition, we need to be lifting weights, that's 1. We need to do some cardio, that's number 2. Some active recovery like yoga or just simply taking a walk. There's got to be a nutritional element, and there's got to be a recovery element, which includes sleep and stress management. If you execute on those 5 things daily and weekly, and now at some point you got to measure, and while I don't like to use the tool as my only source, a scale as my only source of measurement, it is a valid source. And so at some point you got to measure, you got to see if you're actually making progress. And then based on that outcome, tweak your processes as needed. But if you'll repeat that little cycle over and over again, you'll crush any health and fitness goal that you go after. Okay, now, I love this quote from the late great Jim Rohn. What is simple to do is also simple not to do. Please don't mistake what I just shared with you and/or dismiss what I just shared with you as too simple to be effective, because I'm telling you, it's a powerful little tool that you can use. And as an example, now I'm shifting gears, but I still want to make a point on how powerful a simple little idea can be, or simple concept can be. So just go with me again. If I were to offer you $1 million cash today, or the accumulation of 1 penny doubled every day for 31 days, which would you pick? Now, if you know the answer, just sit tight, I'll get through this and I'll wrap this up, because I do have another point to make at the end. But if you don't, so which do you think? There's no smoke and mirrors. It's not a trick question. So, $1 million or the pennies? I hope you're going with the penny option, because it's by far the better deal. And it works like this. On day 1, you have 1 and 2, and then 4 and 8 and then 16, 32, 64, $1.28, $5.26, 10, whatever. I mean, halfway through the month, you're just at nothing compared to $1 million cash up front. But if you will hold on, when you get to day 30, you're at 5 million and change. Day 31, you're at 10 million and change. Oh, by the way, day 38, you tip $1 billion. Yeah, that is $1 billion with a B. Now, I actually built an Excel spreadsheet to make sure that this actually worked. It really does. I mean, it's true. The power of compounding is unbelievable. Someone called it the eighth wonder of the world. But there's two catches to this. Number one, the math never changes. The math never changes. To go from 1 penny to 2, day 1, day 2, is the same math that takes you from 5 million and change on day 30 to 10 million and change on day 31. It's just duplication. But here's the bigger catch. It's the consistency. Because if you take out any one day in that first 31 days, you don't get to 10 million and change. Take out multiple days and you really screw up the compounding. So consistency is critical. So I have one more tool to share with you. And this is based on the idea that we as humans, we are driven by proof of progress. And I'm going to use my buddy Jerry Seinfeld as an example. I read an article about Seinfeld. This is a handful of years ago. But the interviewer asked him, what's one of the biggest things that you would attribute to your success, especially at the beginning of your career? And Jerry said, my calendar. And the interviewer was clearly confused, and he said, all right, explain. He said, well, when I first started my career, my goal was to write every day. And I had a big honking wall calendar in my apartment. And every day that I wrote, I put an X on that day on the calendar. Write X, write X, write X. He said, some days I wrote gold, some days I wrote crap. But that wasn't the goal. The goal was to write. And he said, it got to be a game after a period of time that there was no way he was breaking that string of X's. And that little mind game propelled him to continue with his writing, but the volume that produced, there's enough gold in there that, arguably he's been a pretty successful guy. So in modern lingo, what he's describing is called gamification. That is applying gamesmanship technology and thought process from like a video game, literally, to a learning process that, well, ordinary would not be the most exciting thing in the world, like learning a foreign language. So if you're not familiar with Duolingo, it is one of the most popular language learning platforms in the world, and they actually advertise in their literature that they use gamification. And from personal experience, because I've used it extensively, I'm trying to learn Espanol and Portuguese. It's addictive. Oh my gosh, it's addictive. And again, it's gamification at its finest. So proof of progress, it really does work. So let's go back and wrap this up. We're talking about increasing belief. Let's go back to the tree analogy. Now, when I asked you that question, will the tree fall? It was just like clockwork. There's just not even up for debate that the tree is going to fall. So transition that to your goal, whatever your outcome goal is. That's your tree. Backdoor into 5 is enough. 5 weekly processes, daily, weekly processes, swings of the axe that you absolutely can control. That is enough. Now, once you identify those processes, you got to capture that information. So whether it's old school, pen, paper, journal, or some electronic means, you got to capture that information and then execute and then track your activity. And then at some point you got to measure. I mean, if it's a scale or whatever your tool of measurement is, you got to measure and see actually how you're doing. And then based on the feedback that you get from your measurement, tweak your processes as needed. And then finally, utilize the mind game. It's a game, but utilize the mind game that I shared regarding Jerry. I'm sure there were days that he didn't feel like writing. Just my clients don't always feel like training. But Jerry, looking at the volume of work that he had put in and just, his wall calendar, that helped him on those days that he might have skipped otherwise. It's like, I'm not breaking that string of X's. And it can be the same way for your exercise. If you will track those swings of the axe, so to speak, with whatever tool that you're using over a period of time, I'm telling you, the days will come that you don't feel like it, but when you look at the work that all the time and effort that you put into it, that can be enough to help you get your work done that day. And then next day you come back feeling like freaking Superman. That is the emotional roller coaster ride that is your health and fitness journey, or any worthy pursuit in life. So I hope this helps. Again, Evan Carmichael, this was for you. I know it took me a while to pull this together. It's been a crazy week. If you have any questions, please reach out. I will promise to reply. Have a great day. I look forward to sharing with you again soon.